guardrails are good. While navigating a winding two-lane road in the mountains a few months ago, I encountered a mile-long stretch under construction. Directed by a flagman, I merged into a lane of freshly laid asphalt devoid of yellow and white lines. The absence of clear boundaries heightened my senses and was unnerving even though I consider myself a good driver. My knuckles whitened as I noticed the lack of a guardrail separating my new lane from the steep drop-off to my right. As I eased along the unfamiliar surface, I recalled the fourth navigation principle: guardrails are good. I don't know about you, but I appreciate the confidence in freshly painted lines and guardrails as I travel unfamiliar paths. Especially when the way gets dark, foggy, or blinded by rain. Just as guardrails benefit vehicular travel, they are equally valuable for foot travel. You can designate distinct geographical features as such. For instance, I might designate the creek to our left and the pine ridge to our right as our guardrails for laying out an orienteering course. By staying within these boundaries, our team can navigate the dense forests confidently, maintaining our direction. These designated boundaries instill a sense of freedom and confidence that also serve as a demarcation that clearly lets us know if we veer off course. As we navigate our lives, we must establish these boundaries because they will not always be obvious. Romantic relationships, friendships, and ethical practices need clear boundaries, and we need not wait for someone to set them. Guard your heart and character by predetermining them before travel. If we wait to ask, "How far is too far?" we will most likely be over the line. While some may view guardrails as limitations, they are quite the opposite. Think of it this way: safe navigation of highway and road networks is predicated on a population following a set standard of signage, practices, and procedures. Because of this, I have freely driven coast to coast without worrying or considering where my freedom of travel ended, and oncoming traffic's freedom began. Lines, signs, and guardrails grant us that freedom. Consider the Korean DMZ. This 160-mile boundary runs along the 38th parallel, and roughly cuts the peninsula of Korea in half. This buffer functions as a political and armistice boundary between the conflicting cultures of North and South Korea. Without it, turmoil would ensue. It's a historical reference point of how a clear line can establish peace and de-escalate violence. But let's be honest, setting, maintaining, and honoring boundaries is not easy. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and courage. Temptation beckons us towards short-term gratification at the expense of long-term fulfillment. Yet, it is precisely during these moments that the guardrails we put in place become invaluable, anchoring us to our true north and guiding us back on track. The psalmist points to this idea. How can a young person stay on the path of purity? By living according to your word. I seek you with all my heart, do not let me stray from your commands. Psalm 119 verses 9 to 10. Take some time to think through and establish boundaries in your relationships, conversations, business, and home. Share them with a trusted friend.
Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil.